are back live. How is everybody doing this fine ass day? I hope all of you are having a great day. I am. It's been fun. We were off last week, basically, seeing the family, and decided to come back and do 4 videos back to back, based off different topics that I missed while I was away. For those of you that are coming from this last one, where Colin Mocker, I went over the comments section of Colin Mockery's video about basically me. I thank you for joining me again. One of the comments in that comment section was how people took great offense when I said that suntan lotions can be causing skin cancer. Great offense to it. So I thought I'd produce an article with over a dozen peer-reviewed data sources to state my case. And this is what I say once again. You guys can disagree with me. Colin, his entire crew, anybody that all of a sudden, that gets upset the very second they see me, for some reason, or here's what I have to say or how I say it or anything like that. I challenge any of you. Don't just say you're wrong. Bring your fucking data. Show me your fucking studies, because that's what I do. So all of you that are saying, oh, it's just misinformation, it's just this is all science, all based in it. So please understand when I tell you that I would love to hear what you have to say, but you need to come with more than I disagree. I disagree. Because this is the article I'm talking about. Sunscreen, the silent culprit behind skyrocketing skin cancer rates. And this is an article on my X. Please go read it. Please go subscribe, all that shit, whatever you need, okay? But this says, for decades, we've been slathering ourselves in sunscreen, convinced it's our shield against the sun's deadly rays. Dermatologists, public health officials, and billion-dollar cosmetic empires have drilled it into our heads. UV radiation causes skin cancer, and sunscreen is the holy grail of prevention. But what if they are wrong? What if the very potion we've been told to worship is quietly fueling the skin cancer epidemic? The evidence is mounting, the science is screaming, and the truth is too inconvenient to ignore. Sunscreen isn't saving us, it's sabotaging us. Skin cancer rates have been climbing relentlessly, according to the American Cancer Society. And by the way, that's with people spending more time inside than they ever have before. Does nobody grasp that? Does nobody grasp that? Like, we spend more time inside than ever before, but yet skin cancer rates are higher than ever before. Wow. Anyway, skin cancer rates have been climbing relentlessly. According to the American Cancer Society, melanoma instances have risen about 3% per year since the 1980s, when everybody started putting sunscreen all over themselves. With over 100,000 new cases expected in the U.S. in 2025 alone, non-melanoma cancers like basal cell carcinoma, BCC, and squamous cell carcinomas, SCC, affect millions more. Meanwhile, sunscreen use has soared. Sales hit $1.9 billion in the United States in 2023, and public campaigns have made it a cultural obsession. If sunscreen is the cure, why are we losing the war? Let's tear apart the facade and expose how sunscreen might be the villain, not the hero. The chemistry conspiracy, toxic ingredients in your bottle. Sunscreen isn't some benign lotion. It's a chemical cocktail. Most conventional sunscreens rely on active ingredients like oxybenzone, avibenzone, octinoxate, I can't pronounce shit today, and homosalate. Sorry, the ADHD is all over the place. These aren't just fancy names. They're synthetic compounds that penetrate your skin, soak into your bloodstream, and linger like uninvited guests. A 2019 study by MAHA et al., published in JAMA, dropped a bombshell. After a single day of typical sunscreen protection, these chemicals were detected in participants' blood at levels exceeding FDA's safety thresholds. Oxybenzone, found in 70% of sunscreens, hit concentrations up to 209.6 nanograms per milliliter, hundreds of times higher than what would have been considered safe. So before anybody starts pushing, like, oh, Alan, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. You don't know what's going on. Use your fucking logic and critical thinking. To briefly go where we've already been, in just this first 5 minutes. People are spending less time than ever outside in the sun. When they do, they're slathering more and more and more sunscreen on them, and yet skin cancer rates are skyrocketing. What the fuck do you think is causing it? Get there fucking faster. Get there fucking faster. Jesus Christ. It's so fucking crazy. It's so fucking crazy. So what? These chemicals aren't just loitering, they're biologically active. Oxybenzone is known as an endocrine disruptor, meaning that it fucks up your hormones. It's mimicking estrogen and wreaking havoc on hormonal systems. A 2021 study by DiNardo and Downs in Chemosphere linked to oxidative stress and DNA damage in human cells. That's right, DNA damage, the very precursor to cancer. If UV rays break DNA to cause skin cancer, why are we smearing on substances that do the same fucking thing? The irony is thicker than SPF 50. I thought it was a funny joke. Anyway, because SPF 50 is really, anyway. And it gets worse. When these chemicals hit sunlight, they don't just sit there, they photodegrade. A 2020 study by Santos et al. In Environmental Chemistry Letters found that avobenzene breaks down under UV exposure into reactive byproducts, including free radicals. Free radicals are molecular gangsters that punch holes in your DNA, setting the stage for mutations and tumors. We're told sunscreen blocks UV damage, but it might be delivering a double whammy, letting some rays through while unleashing its own cancer-causing chaos. The vitamin D debacle, starving our skin of nature's protector. Here's a kicker that sunscreen lobby doesn't want you to hear. Sunlight isn't just a villain, it's a lifeline. UVB rays trigger vitamin D synthesis in the skin, and vitamin D isn't some optional supplement. It's a powerhouse against cancer. A 2018 meta-analysis by Garland et al. In PLOS ONE showed that higher vitamin D levels smash melanoma risk by up to 50%. Lowering vitamin D is linked with more aggressive tumors. Lower vitamin D is linked with more aggressive tumors, worse survival rates, and across multi-cancer, including skin cancer. But sunscreen obliterates this natural defense. A 2019 study by Felton et al. In British Journal of Dermatology found that SPF 15 sunscreen cuts vitamin D production by 95%. Slathers on SPF 50, and you're basically turning your skin into a vitamin D desert. We've been brainwashed to fear every ray, but in doing so, we've starved ourselves of a nutrient that could be keeping cancer at bay. Skin cancer rates aren't rising because we're sun worshiping. They're rising because we're sun avoiding, thanks to sunscreen suffocating grip. And we spend less time outside. One more time. Sunscreen doesn't just mess with the chemistry and biology, it screws with your head. Studies show it breeds reckless behavior. A 2017 paper by Ulter et al., European Journalism of Cancer, reveals that sunscreen users stay in the sun longer, up to 25% more time, because they feel invincible. SPF 30 doesn't mean you're 30 times safer. It means you block 97% of UVB rays, assuming you apply it perfectly. Spoiler, you don't. That leaves 3% sneaking through and over hours of extended exposure. Worse, most sunscreens don't block UVA rays as effectively as UVB. UVA penetrates deeper, damages collagen, and surprise, triggers melanoma. A 2022 study by Diffie Photodermatology, Photoimmunology, and Photomedicine estimates that modern sunscreens let through 10 to 20% UVA, enough to cook your skin while you're blissfully baking in under your SPF shield. The epidemiological smoking gun, cancer rates defy the narrative. If sunscreen were the miracle it was sold as, we'd see skin cancer rates plummeting as usage skyrocketed. We don't. A 2020 analysis by Green et al. In Journal of Clinical Oncology tracked melanoma incidences alongside sunscreen adoption in Australia, home of the Slip, Slop, Slap campaign. From 1982 to 2010, sunscreen use tripled, yet melanoma rates doubled. In the U.S., a 2023 CDC report showed BCC and SCC cases rising 5 to 10% annually, despite ubiquitous sunscreen messaging. Pro-sunscreen fantasies will cry, it's because of the ozone depletion. Nice try. 2018 study by Vander Loon et al. In Photochemical and Photobiological Sciences calculated that ozone-related UV increases account for less than 10% of skin cancer surge. the real driver. Look at the tube in your beach bag. Correlation isn't causation, but when the supposed cure tracks perfectly with the disease's rise, it's time to stop swallowing the propaganda. And that's exactly what it is. If sunscreen were actually healthy for you, skin cancer rates would be going down, not up. I mean, it's wild that I even have to say that in what I was always assuming a society that used logic and critical thinking. But if we start doing something en masse, like everybody starts doing something like, I don't know, massively increasing the use of sunscreen because we're afraid of skin cancer. And then while we're massively increasing the use of sunscreen, we see a massive spike in skin cancer rates. We might want to think like, that's not really working. In fact, that shit's making it worse because it's making it worse. And it's not even deniable. When people argue with me about this stuff, then what is it? Like you're telling, I get it that you like the argument against me is like, well, you can't prove it's causing cancer. You can't prove it's not. Because very frankly, the evidence points to it's causing cancer. You have to be deaf, dumb, blind, and willingly stupid to not see it. Right? Do you understand that? Like, if we are using more of it to avoid skin cancer, but yet the more we use, the more skin cancer we have, it's likely causing the skin cancer, you dumb fucks. It's so wild. It's so wild. Anyway, the industry cover up, profit over proof. Why isn't this front page news follow the money? The sunscreen industry is a juggernaut, ranking in billions while cosplaying up to regular. Cozying up to regulators and researchers. A 2021 expose by Downs et al. In Chemical Research in Toxicology accused manufacturers of downplaying ingredients toxicity data. The FDA itself dragged its feet for decades. Only in 2019 did it finally propose stricter safety testing, and even then it gave industry years to comply. Meanwhile, oxybenzone and its toxic cousins stay on the shelves endorsed by the same dermatologists who get grants from big sunscreen. Does everybody know that too, right? Like a lot of dermatology is like the research for dermatologists is done by the healthcare industry, obviously, but mostly the dermatological field, right? And a lot of the bankroll for a lot of the studies comes from sunscreen companies. You're playing yourself, motherfuckers. Sad. And don't forget the fear factor. Skin cancer is the perfect boogeyman. Common, visible, terrifying. The more we panic, the more we buy. A 2023 study by Smith et al. In health psychology, found that fear-based sun safety campaigns tripled sunscreen sales, but don't dent skin cancer rates. It's a racket and scare people into it. Exactly. The natural alternative, sunlight done right. Here's a radical truth. Humans evolved under the sun, not under SPF. Indigenous populations in sunny climates like the Maasai or Aboriginal Australians have lower skin cancer rates than sunscreen-drenched Westerners. I'm going to say that one more time for you. The Aboriginals in Australia who are outside in the sun all the motherfucking time and don't use sunscreen have lower skin cancer rates than sunscreen-drenched Westerners. Can everybody understand that? Can everybody grasp that? Jesus. Despite constant exposure, 2020 ethnographic study by Japonski in Annal Reviews of Anthropology credits their success due to gradual tanning, strategic shade use, and crucial, no chemical barriers. Tanning isn't damage, it's adaptation. Melanin boost by moderate UVB is nature's sunscreen, cutting DNA damage by 50 to 70% per 2019 by Brenner et al. Pigment cell and melanoma research. Does everybody understand that being tan cuts your DNA damage by 50 to 70% according to science? We don't need to burn. We need to balance. Ditch the goop and embrace controlled sun exposure, 15 to 30 minutes a day, depending on the skin type. Builds vitamin D and melanin without frying you. A 2020 trial by Hollick et al. In Journal of Steroid Biochemistry and Molecular Biology showed this approach doubles vitamin D levels within weeks. No chemical required. Sunscreen doesn't prevent cancer. It prevents nature from doing its job. Conclusion. It's time to burn this myth. Skin cancer, sunscreen's reign as skin cancer survivor is a lie. A toxic, profitable, scientifically shaky lie. Its chemicals poison us. Its false promises expose us, and its vitamin D blockade weakens us. The DNA does not, the data does not lie. As sunscreen use explodes, so does skin cancer. We've been sold a bill of goods, and our skin is paying the price. Throw out the tube, reclaim the sun, demand answers from the industry and its apologists. The evidence is clear. Sunscreen isn't protecting us. It's betraying us. Let's stop smearing on the problem and start solving it. So I'll take a little Q&A before we go to this next one. That's my article. I appreciate that greatly. That's also because they are indigenous. Everybody's indigenous to where they're born. Everybody is indigenous to the planet Earth that has sun. Everybody. Just joining, sorry if you already answered this, but what are your thoughts on tanning beds? Washington doesn't get much sun. I would argue that it depends on the person, right? I like tanning maybe once a week. It's good for my skin. I believe, my skin's definitely better when I do it. I don't do it very, very often. And again, 30 minutes a day outside in the sun is what I'm suggesting. Now, if it gets cold where you're at, I would definitely be supplementing vitamin D as much as humanly possible. And I already know you are. But 5,000, 10,000 IUs a day is good for your immune system. It's good to avoid cancer, everything like that. It's good. You should be doing it. Everybody in the United States should be supplementing 5,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. I don't understand why we're not. I literally don't understand why we don't. But once a week, I do. I can't see a problem with it. But again, it's the same thing. Like that's artificial. It's UV rays. I prefer you be outside. Everyone has a ton of vitamin deficiencies. That's our American diet does not provide. Well, of course it does, because the federal government wants it that way. The RDA for vitamin D is 600 IUs. They used to say that 4,000 IUs was toxic levels. Meanwhile, fucking hundreds of studies showing that 5,000, 10,000 IUs a day, perfectly safe, and it helps avoid cancer, problems with communicable diseases. It helps with your immune system, brain health, avoid depression, so much, right? They want you sick, fat, and weak. They want you sick, fat, weak, and dependent upon them. It's absolutely how it is. I wish I could just, I wish I could tan. I spend any time in the sun, I just get burnt. Start out 5 minutes at a time, like literally 5 minutes a day, just 5 minutes. Go out, be out, come in, spend 5 minutes a day. It'll eventually build up a little bit. Okay. Some people, it does take longer. That's for fucking sure. Oop. I never use sunscreen. I remember my mom used to slather it all over. Once I was able to put it on myself, I never did it. I don't like that on my skin. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. The production of vitamin D has an evolutionary function. People closest to the equator have the darkest skin, but poor absorption of vitamin D. People living closest to the North Pole have the lightest. Exactly. You're very, very welcome. All right, we'll do a little Q&A. By the way, guys, I did want to say to everybody, here are our Make America Healthy Again coaching spots. We help everybody build healthier lifestyles bit by bit by bit. I am not everybody's cup of tea. I get that. If you would not want to have me as your coach, you could have Crystal just as your coach all by herself. She's actually my coach. She's an amazing coach. She's the one that has me well over 4 years and 2 months, no binge. So 4 years, 2 months, and 7 days, no binge. Killing it. All right. Plus, vitamin D is one of the crucial factors in increased test levels. Exactly. Skin can absorb it, vitamin D better. People in the equatorial regions burn less than in the north. All right, guys. Let's do some Q&A. I wish you would have stuck around. I wish you would have stuck around, because one more time, I just read off scientific backing of like 20 different peer-reviewed studies. I'd love for you to support what you're saying in the same way. That's the weird thing I'm going through right now, right? Right now, I have people being like, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're this. You're that. You're this. You're that." Not one of these motherfuckers will dare to fucking actually take a scientific approach to try to refute what I say. Not one, because you literally fucking can't. I mean, that's the actual issue, because you literally fucking can't. Like, I can say that obesity is a disproportionate burden on all society. I have data, stats, facts to prove it. I can say it is your own choice. Data, facts, stats to prove it. Peer-reviewed studies out the fucking ass. I can say that COVID-19, I can say we never should have locked down. There's an article on my X right now about pandemic. We should have never locked down. Farr's law indicated that we were already on the second wave, and the second wave was already over. Locking down when the wave is dying off is moronic. That's when we should have been mingling to help people gain natural immunity. Like, there was no justification for that shit at all. And I'll debate anybody, like, because I have the data, and I am well read enough that I understand that there's these things called facts, data, stats, historical precedent. Like, Farr's law is not just this weird thing. It's a mathematician thing, right? It's by the math. It is shown to be historically 100% accurate for literally every new viral outbreak. There is a large peak when it first comes out, and then drop off, and then another smaller peak, and then it just goes like this until maybe, I don't know, you introduce an experimental gene therapy that causes evolutionarily a vaccine to want to go around it to produce a variant, and then there's a new one, that, by the way, if the people from the first one just had their natural immunity, they're likely going to be immune to the variant also, unlike the gene therapy. Reality exists, guys. Reality exists. So. My blonde-haired, blue-eyed daughter turns really dark in the summer thanks to her great-grandma. Hell yeah. I'm out in the sun 15 to 30 minutes to take care of the animals. At my age, 52, I'm past building tolerance to it. It's just genetics on my side. I mean, if you're out there every day, I mean, just cover up, and you got to make sure you're supplementing vitamin D if you're going to stay covered up. I mean, people don't understand this. Like, if you're not going to be out in the sun every day, you should absolutely be supplementing vitamin D every single day. Like, if you are not going to be in the sun every day, you should be supplementing 5,000 IUs of vitamin D every single fucking day. I can't possibly fucking state that more, Sue Cat, I don't know what your question is. You said just a question, but there's no question. If you go out more than 30 minutes, like swimming, you can put the mineral sunscreen on after the 30-minute period or so. Yes. That's probably the best play, actually. I keep a copy of a nutritional almanac by the Kurzmans at my bedside. It's chock full of information and charts. Outstanding. I see vitamin D3 in the pharmacy shelves. Is that the same as vitamin D? Yes. Vitamin D3 supplement-wise is more readily absorbed also too, Mr. Pete. So, Sue Cat, ask your question. I'll try to get to it. But next, we're going to be talking about the Miss Tess Holiday, what her happenstances from last week. Uh-oh. Here we go. I'm going to check something. Thank you. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So, Sue Cat, come on. All right. Yes, this is great advice, by the way. Vitamin D3 with K2. That's how it should be taken. Great fucking advice. Great fucking advice. I get so dark the sun never burns. Only when using sunblock. Yeah, when I don't get sunburnt. Only when I used to use sunblock, or if I'm out at a ridiculously egregious amount of time. So I am vitamin D deficient, so I take a daily supplement. I also love to just sit in the sun. We missed you. Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate you. Anyway, all right. I don't see anybody following up questions, especially Sue Cat. You said just a question, but never asked a question. So I hope everybody's having a good day. I'm going to be back in just about 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to walk off early so I can go pee. Oh, wait, here we go. What other vitamins would be great to supplement with vitamin D? K2. I literally just went over it. K2. No problem. All right, guys. I will be back in just a couple minutes. Here we go.
The Holy Trinity Bundle isn't just about weight loss, it's about empowering you to find your healthiest, happiest self. Let's talk about what's in the bundle and how it caters specifically to our needs. First, we got Ember, which is not just any fat burner. It's also going to boost your mood, your energy levels, while also suppressing your appetite. And if you're worried about it being too strong, you can split the tablet in half to tailor its impact. Next, we have Alchemy NCT, which turns the carbs that you eat into energy and not fat. Yes, energy, not fat. This is our way of making sure that the meals that you eat contribute positively to your weight loss journey. And girls, we all know that we want that. And finally, no morbidity. This one's my favorite because it works while you sleep. It burns fat and controls those nighttime cravings without any stimulants, so you wake up feeling refreshed. Try it out and feel the genuine difference. Here's to new beginnings and real results.